moves slow, time moves fast. In this dance we call the past. Mental health, a fragile thread, but we'll find strength. Let love spread. Life's a climb, just take a step. Rise above, find your breath. In the darkness we will find a shining light to free our mind, to free our mind. Self-growth blooms like petals bloom, shedding tears will heal the wounds in the chaos. Let's find peace, embrace the pain, let it release.
That was all right. So I've started the recording on the podcast. This is gonna be a good one. So it's your boy Danley Divine. I am here with Alfred White and Namir Ali Elbe, and this is going to be a really really good session. We have a lot of knowledge in the room, a lot of knowledge in the room. So first of all, I'm gonna go ahead and Mr. Alfred White, what is your vision?
So my vision is a Gaia vision, right? And
Mhm.
that's universal vision, right? And a universal vision, man, it's all about love. But love isn't a four-letter word. It's energy, man,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so my vision, man, is a Gaia community of love, but it has to be trauma informed and culturally sensitive because we all are another part of me and you, right? We're all part of the
Interconnected
universe.
conscious.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. And so my goal is for us to enlighten our community to enlightenment, right? That's ultimate consciousness, right? Because now we're stuck in that 100 hertz level, right, and below, right?
Mhm.
And that's contracted state of consciousness, man. So we're stuck living in our survival brains, and that's the reason why our sacrum or our sex organs are gods to us, right? Because
Okay.
we don't understand that we're supposed to invert that with our breath, man, and bring it up into our pineal gland, right? Right? Create DMT, man, and create
Yep.
the happiness chemicals, man,
That's
right?
Kundalini. What is it? Kundalini
Kundalini,
energy.
yes, yes,
Yep.
yes, man. So I'm here to ensure that people know that they are the biology of their beliefs, and so through their biology and their beliefs, they can change their DNA, man, in
Yes.
12 weeks, man. And so you can do this through self-talk, and that's what the healthcare community never wanted anybody to know.
Yep.
And so, as a mental health professional, substance use disorder professional, lived experience, subject matter expert, and the creator and developer of a program at a major drug and alcohol institution, I created the most successful continuum of care program in a 75-year history, right?
Mm.
And that was after I swallowed a quarter ounce of crack cocaine and died 9 days after exiting prison. And so I went to college, and I went to Union Gospel Mission Behavior Modification Program, right?
Mhm.
It was a 9-month program. I stayed there for almost 18 months. I was on the front page of the Seattle Post-Intelligencer, served for being on the dean's list. When I went to Seattle Central Community College, I was on the dean's list at Evergreen State Community College, and I was on the dean's list at Faith Evangelical Seminary, where I got my master's in ministry and mental health counseling,
Okay.
right? And I did all that after swallowing a quarter ounce of crack cocaine, where I died and was paralyzed.
Whew.
Right. So I create programs, and that's the gift that God allowed me to see. I'm no longer processing bits and pieces, but patterns, right? I understand the subconscious, the conscious, man, and the power of the word. All words are chemical messengers.
If I'm mistaken, in the Bible they said in the beginning was the
Word.
God.
Yeah, that's right. And we are gods. We're not just regular human beings. If you go to the web, to the internet, and you Google human design suit, right, and you happen to be privileged enough to know your exact birth date and the time you was born, you can enter it in, and it would tell you what your suit is, and that's your human design suit. We all have suits on, right? We're 99999 energy, right? We're only 1% matter.
So is that what they call? That what they would call a natal chart?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, what is that
Is that what I'm
called?
saying?
I don't know that
So when
particular terminology.
you take your birthday and you put it in,
Because we're all numbers. It's called sacred geometry.
Mhm.
Yes,
Through sacred
yes,
geometry, man, we
yes.
can access this energy field that they call
Sure.
air. That's really quantum field, man. It's ether, man, right? And so a lot of times we don't need to do anything but just breathe, right? The air
So
will
we
feed
think.
us because there's the energy and all the minerals that are made up of us, and they come in, and that's what That's what heals us, right? When we eat the food that's organic, it has information and it's phylogenetically installed through the sun, right? So this fake food that we eat is the reason why everybody's got Alzheimer's and dementia and MS and stuff, because it's the food and the water,
Yep.
right?
The
And these processed
carcinogens,
foods, right? Because it lowers your vibration,
vibrations.
man.
Oh, please touch on that doggone shot they want everybody to
Oh
get.
no,
We can talk about that later. We can talk about that later.
No, because people don't understand. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. There's a book called Dirty Genes by Dr. Ben Lynch, and he went to school here at Bastyr and the University of Washington.
What's his name? Dr. Ben
Dr.
what?
Ben Lynch. Yeah,
Lynch.
Lynch, and he studies genetics, right? So our genes, when we come out born, we come out traumatized, right? And we also come out compromised, right? Because we never received, now listen to me, the right brain, left eye somatization from our mother so we can co-regulate our nervous system.
Mhm.
Our nervous systems are co-regulated off of adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine, right?
Yes.
All the stress chemicals which shrink our brains, man. Our brains are right now calcified. Our gray matter is calcified, and it's the reason why that people of color have so many autoimmune disorders. When you have diabetes or high blood pressure, let me share something with you, man. You just compromise your information, man. Our blood is the one that carries the information of our ancestors, man.
Yep.
And it's our maternal parents, man, that not our paternal parents, it's not our fathers. It's our mothers and our grandmothers and our great grandmothers. We're in the womb with that cerebral spinal fluid in the blood, man. We're in there with the ancestors, man, of creation, man. We have all the capabilities, man, with our mind and NLP, neuro linguistic programming, man, right, to change the arch of anything within 12 weeks. This is a free health and wellness program. So I come to offer Seattle and King County a culturally sensitive, trauma informed, right?
Mhm.
Bottom up approach, and it's called the polyvagal approach. And the reason why the polyvagal approach is because
That's polyvagal.
polyvagal theory, right? And so
You give me a lot of information to look up after this.
Right,
I'm sorry. When it comes to learning, I'm like, yes.
Right. So the polyvagal approach is a nervous system approach, because the first thing that lays down in the body is the grid, man. And it's the nervous system. And so we're not connected to our somatic nervous system,
Mhm.
which is our somasensory nervous system, which is stuck in the neck, man, right? So that develops 4 months, right? And so as a child, we start developing, and there's a million connections every second. And so if your parents are not providing a serve in return, right, through the facial thing, right,
Mhm.
then that's our sensory network, man. Interoceptive, the insula, man.
Would that tie in with the nervous system?
Man, it is the nervous system.
Just making sure.
Come on, baby. Let me shop it to you, man. Right?
No, I'm trying to figure out how that moves, because I'm like, okay, so does it tie in with the vertebrae, the 33s as well?
I'm gonna lay this down to you, baby.
Mhm.
Okay, it's like this, man. Right? It's our somatic nervous system, our autonomic nervous system connected to us. So, well, it goes like this. Our somatic nervous system is the first one to develop because it's our sensory system. So it ties into all our senses, because we're sensory beings. If you got to
Yes.
think, man, right, then you done already got 8, right?
Yeah.
We survive and operate from the perception of threat, not from actual touch. It's the perception. Why do you think that none of the animals are around when they have tornadoes or storms, man?
They
It's
sense
the
it.
8th sense, man. Right? We only 2% different than mice. Right? We have all that capacity, man. We're evolutionary beings, man. We're like
disconnected.
X-Men. We're disconnected. We have a dysregulated autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is equivalent to an automatic car, man. We run automatically, man. Heart rate, how many times it beats, how many times it breathes. See, people don't even look at this. What's the locus of control? Because nobody focuses on the internal locus of control. They only focus on the external locus of control, man. And so we got a system, and it's called neuroception, man, right? And that's detection without awareness, man. We have that in our body, right? Because that's what protected us, man, from being eaten.
They would call it discernment.
But you have to have spiritual discernment. But it's called this, but it's not that. It's called felt sense.
Felt sense.
Felt sense radiates from the heart, man. The heart is the center of felt sense. So when you feel your breathing accelerate or deaccelerate, you're either stuck in hypoarousal or hyperarousal, right? And so these are two states. One is a sympathetic fight or flight, right? And the other one is dorsal vagal, and that's disassociation, depression, or freeze, man. It's the body's response to the threat in the air, right? And they pick it up through frequencies because we're frequency. We're 3.5 trillion volts of electricity. That's the reason why everybody's wearing rubber shoes. They don't want you to know that you have these values, right? Because what happened is that the white body culture, right, that established healthcare, man, right, and established education and personal financing, criminal justice, was all based on a program to get us to be slaves to debt. It was created in 1929 by John B. Rockefeller, who hired Bill Gates' grandfather and this other boy that helped advertise and market the demise of the Jewish people over in Germany. Ivy League was his name, right? You can look at the Linux Report, right? You can look at the People's History of the United States by, what's his name? I'll think of it. But this all happened in 1915, man, right before the great pandemic back then, man. No, it was a pandemic. All pandemics are caused because of food, man. The food doesn't have a nutritional value, man, right? It's the same thing if you taking vitamins, man, and you ain't taking no minerals, the vitamins don't work, right? So we don't have the minerals, and the ground doesn't have the minerals in it any longer, man, to even feed us, man. They selling us carrots and stuff, man, with no nutritional value.
You notice that back in the day, all the fruits and vegetables that came from the earth were much bigger.
Yeah.
And now it's like everything is so much smaller. I think I read
nothing has seeds.
Yeah. That's because they took the seeds out. Because
I gotta have all.
Did you know? So as soon as they found out that grape seeds help cure cancer, you notice we started getting seedless grapes.
But that's all done through big pharma. See, big pharma, man, is the one that educates medical students. So the healing activities and practices, man, right, which actually is outlined in the Linux Report, because in the Linux Report, that's where Rockefeller, he's the one that created big pharma, right?
I want to tag on to that real quick. You got the food and drug industry. Why is it that the food that you're giving us makes us bad, but then you decide to give us drugs to try and make us better? It's all in coercion.
So you can come
back. So you can be sick. It's called population control, man.
Yep. I mean, why is it that doctors are so fast to give you all these medicines and everything when they don't sit there and tell you, like, okay, cool, you can take red onions to help you fight off this, or you can take garlic for this and whoop-de-whoop. That's why a lot of people are starting to go back to herbology. Like me personally, my grandma, I'm taking her books and starting to go on to herbology, because it doesn't make sense to the fact. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to the fact that, okay, all these things weren't here back in the day, but all of a sudden, once the little creamies decided to come through, all of a sudden, all these things started popping up.
So you know that about the Anunnakis, right?
The Anunnaki?
Yeah.
Yes. Anunnaki, those from heaven. Those from above.
That's actually chant. That's an actual chant.
Right. But you guys get what I'm saying. I'm on this stuff, man, for real, man.
So you know about wheat?
Man, listen, man, I'm healing myself from liver cancer. In 2018, they diagnosed me with needing a liver transplant, man, right? You hear what I said?
Yeah, I hear you.
I had spots on my liver on both sides, man, right? And then it took me almost 2 years later to get my fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and IBS diagnosis, right? And then they found out, man, I got these discs in my neck and my cervix, man. I got a hiatal hernia, man, right? Wait a second, that ain't it, man. I got lesions on my white matter, man, and they took my pain medication and told me, man, that I asked him why. He said, he never even looked at my records. He never looked up anything, man. These doctors, man, and big pharma, man. They're not. What they did, man, is they set us up. They made us sick, man, and keep us sick. By the food and the medicine that he gave us, because everybody doesn't understand the reason why Rockefeller got into this, because he was doing the oil thing. He didn't want a bunch of thinkers in America. He wanted a bunch of workers in America, because the first 7 years of life, you're in the theta state, man, right? And that's automatic, just hypnosis, man. So you're like a sponge. Anything you come in contact with, man, you soak it up in your body, man. And the reason why people's all messed up, man, because what happens is, man, if any type of stress you got that happened in childhood is still in your body, it's trapped in your body.
Yep.
Called stored overwhelm, man, right?
Turns into disease.
And it's neurochemical, man, and it blocks all your arteries. So what you can do is run over a person's body, man, with your hand, because light and sound is the healthcare of the future, man. Did you hear what I said?
Reiki.
Lights and sound is the
Yep.
healthcare. I'm talking about red light therapy, right?
Mhm.
And vibration, man, right?
Doesn't that go into
Cleanse
Reiki
the body.
healing?
No.
Doesn't?
I remember back in the day, I would
Yeah.
smoke to
Yeah.
a red light.
Yeah.
What you just said about how they want us to all pretty much just do what they say. They don't want nobody to think. I'm like, that ties in with the school systems now, to where it's like they're not teaching anybody
School
critical
prison
thinking.
pipeline.
Everything is just, you need to memorize.
Right.
You're not thinking.
It's nothing
Even when it comes
greater.
to the military, do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
Then with the same time, with this whole COVID that we just had, everybody needs to take this vaccine. You need to do what they say. If you don't end up taking the vaccine, you can't work.
Right.
Like they tried to push that agenda on us right then and there, and I think that's when a lot of people
start waking up,
Yep.
man, right? And that's the reason why they want to put chips in us, man. Do you know that they want to turn all money, man, into crypto money, man?
digital currencies, central bank digital currency, CBDC. That was Executive Order 16047.
Because of when the United States, man, sanctioned Russia, man, they said, "Oh no, man, dude, man," and the other smaller units said, "Oh, sanction." And no money, and so you can just devalue the money, man. And they said, "Oh no, we're not gonna get trapped like this." So they are creating a different currency, man, right? And so Pence wants to charge everybody, man, right? They want access to your bank account.
Yep.
That's what that
right?
metaverse about.
But the whole thing, man, is to perpetuate white supremacy, man. And so we got a barrier, right? I brought a free program to King County in Seattle that would reduce gun violence. It would take away all the homelessness, right? Address addiction, right? And I told them I'd give this to them for free, but you need to pay me for the services. I brought in a company called Heart Math, right? It's the Brain Heart Coherence Program, right? And in real time, right now, man, I can put a clip on your earlobe, man, attach it, and sync it into this app on my phone. That's the reason why you see that thing keep blinking, man. This is called inner balance, man. With your breath, man, you can re-regulate or dysregulate the autonomic nervous system through breath. Through the polyvagal approach, man, you can change any chronic disorder, any illness, man, with breath and food, man.
That must be what's going on with me, because the brother taught me about Tai Chi, right? and breathing.
Yeah.
So that's all I keep telling people. Breathing.
That's
You got
the
to
gateway.
yeah.
A lot of people don't even know how to breathe.
So this is what you're doing. What you're doing is you're dysregulating the accelerated nervous system, because see, they changed the hertz from the ground, man, from 432 to 440, right? And the reason why they're playing rap music, because people don't have the intonation to hear anything else, man, right?
Yep.
You have to use a program called the SSP, the Safe and Sound Protocol, right? To even tap and crack open your calcified brain, right? Inside your ears, man, is not what you think is in there. And what I'm saying to you sounds like words, but the exchange between us is frequencies, man. The modulator, man, is our ears, man. When you understand the conduction of the eardrums, right, in accordance with there's a cilia in there of hair, man, inside our ears. It's over 1 million, man, right?
Yeah. I read about that, where you got all the little hairs in the ear and everything,
we
and it
can
kind of
do a
regulates.
whole show on this, man. I got the whole thing on it, man. The whole polyvagal approach. It's all about your sensory system. But what's wrong with us is not in the prefrontal cortex, because anything that has to do with trauma is related, all the blood is shut down in this area, man. Your amygdala back here, man, and your hypothalamus and your thalamus, man. It's called the smoke detector, man, the cook, man, and the watchtower.
All right.
Because the body keeps the score, man.
So then that's why they got these, when they talk about these human sleeves that they doing, they go to the back of your brain and pull that piece out, and that's what they do.
They don't have to pull the piece out, man. They already did that, man. The glass ceiling came.
That's like that Black Mirror stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Where it's like kind of like the cloning?
Yeah, there's a cloning going on.
Yeah.
And Bill Gates got the first transcript, man, right? But this is the original, man, glass ceiling.
The Willie Lynch letter in the making of slave.
Yeah. The Willie Lynch letter in the making of slave.
I learned about that book when I went to the what's it?
This is what
I went to a plantation in New Orleans. What's the name of it? And that's when I saw that book.
So you know that this guy here, Bruce Perry and Oprah, who wrote that book, What Happened to You, man, they got neurosequential assessments, man, that can tell you what developmental state your brain is in. They can tell you, man, if you're 8 in this area, 10 in this area, 12 in this area, 21 in that area, yeah, in real time. This device that I'm talking about, man, right? It takes my heart, man, right? And if I'm breathing right, and I use an emotion, not a depleting emotion, but a renewing emotion, right? And I use my imaginal cells, right? We got imaginal cells, man, right?
That's where affirmations come from.
Right, that's what self-talk. That's how you change your DNA, man. Right through self-talk in 21 days, man.
Oh my goodness!
Come on, man.
That's why you told me what I was doing was so
right, man.
They also have another book, The Secret. They got a 30.
But that's the
28.
same principles, man. It's all the same principles, man. I'm shooting. Come on, man.
Hey, before we go, I need to write these down.
Well, let's tell everybody.
got
I got my grandmother's hands, and it's the racialized trauma and the pathway to men in our hearts and body by Dressman Monacan.
Mm-hmm.
I have the workbook for The Body Keeps the Score, Summary and Workbook, Brain, Mind, and Body and the Healing of Trauma by Bessel van der Kolk. I got the workbook for What Happened to You by Dr. Bruce Perry, MD, PhD in Oprah Winfrey, Conversation on Trauma, Resilience, and Healing. My business focuses on, and the Willie Lynch letter. This is the glass ceiling, you guys.
Yeah.
This is the software, right? And the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. See, they wouldn't even let us talk. And let me just share something with you guys right now, man, to keep the ethnos in here, man. Really focus.
This is knowledge right here, boy.
Right.
This is knowledge right here.
So, I'm gonna go into this story here, man. Right, the breaking process of the African woman, and all mothers, fathers, because women, they birth nations.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's what we teach.
And this is what they did. They invited this man over here. He says, the Willie Lynch letter, gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you for the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia for bringing me here. I'm here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me at my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Rome would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood or as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highway in great numbers, you here are using a tree and a rope on occasion. I caught the whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple miles back. You're not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you're having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problem is out here? I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I'm here to introduce you to a method of solving them.
Mm-hmm.
In my bag, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, this is the program, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves, and I take these differences and make them bigger. I use fear. That's the news media. Distrust. Right? Distrust. Right? And envy for control purposes. Right? And they do that amongst us. Right? These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and they will work throughout the South.
Sugarcane.
Right? And so he says, take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in a valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy is stronger than adulteration, respect or admiration. The black slave, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for years, for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus light-skinned slaves, and light-skinned slaves versus dark-skinned slaves. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary that your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intentionally for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. This is a quote, man, right? Out the Willie Lynch letter and the making of a slave. Now, if I tell you what they did to the black woman, and I think I should share this because the way that they have women dressed in all these clothes and they perpetuate and have men focusing on only the sacral unit of a woman, man, instead of a pineal, right? Where the fruit of life is at, right?
Yes.
And the multiplication of the universe, because women's birth nations, right?
They do.
I need to tell you about what they have done to us through the black woman, because this is the most complicit glass ceiling in healthcare. APA has a PowerPoint on the history of racism in the American Psychological Association. And so this, you guys, is the reason why that we don't need to use behavioral
health.
That
is Alfred White.
Current behavioral health people, right, to provide services to the marginalized because they don't have an alchemy. When I say the alchemy, because we're alchemists, right, is that they don't have the happiness chemicals.
He is a founder, executive director of the League of Extraordinary
People. Let me share
People.
you guys with you about these ladies whipping girls, and here's why. The breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Yes. Test her in every. I want you guys to really listen to this, you guys. We over here passing some books around.
Yeah,
we really need to get
growing
you guys
knowledge.
to really
Growing knowledge.
Hear this guy, you guys. I'm gonna start from the beginning now. Check this, you guys. This is from the book, The Willie Lynch Letter and the Making of a Slave, and it's the chapter on the breaking process of the African woman. You need to really hear this, men and women and young girls, because they said that this is what they did. This guy says, take the female. And this is the guy that came from the West Indies. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. This is how they use the black woman against the black man. If she shows any signs of resistance, submitting completely to your will, that means his desires, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of bitch out of her. Take care not to kill her, though, for in doing so, you'll spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective dependency toward the independent male offspring, and would raise female offspring to be dependent like her, right? Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reversed nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone unprotected with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state, right? And in this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she's become psychologically dependent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent as well. What have you got? You've got the nigger woman out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is the perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. Before the breaking process, we had to be alert and on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early infant slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor. continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage niggas by throwing the nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, right? And this is back in the year 1900, right? The year it is into
And
a
they try to make it seem like
frozen
it's so far.
psychological state of independence by killing the protective male image, the image of a male, and by creating a submissive, dependent mind of a nigger male slave. We have created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever, unless a phenomenon occurs like me and the League of Extraordinary People and these men at this table and reshifts the energy, the positions of the male and female savages. We show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. And then they talk about the Negro marriage unit, and then warning possible interloping negatives, right? What we see here, you guys, is the glass ceiling for all blacks and immigrants, and this is highly outlined in the APA's history of.
Hey, that was another episode of Divine Time with Don Lee. I appreciate you stopping by. Hey, if you enjoyed what you heard, please hit me with a like, follow. All I do is ask to share. If you have a story that you want to share, you have a voice that you feel can impact others or possibly even shine light to their day, go ahead and hit me up on my email. It's donlee@divinetime.blog. I say again, that's donlee@divinetime.blog. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for listening.